everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hollyoaks has aired a shock kiss after Freddie Roscoe and Grace Black split in the show's latest episode. Freddie is convinced that his neglect during the show's missing year caused Lexi's epilepsy after she suffered a head injury while home alone. But Grace knows the truth about what happened that night. Lexi didn't fall, her son Curtis pushed her. She has kept this a secret from Freddie, and Mercedes used this information as blackmail. Best streaming services. Meanwhile, Vicky has secretly been allowing Freddie to spend time with his daughter. But in today's episode, Robbie found out the truth. Robbie was furious with both his brother and his girlfriend for their betrayal. As Freddie continued to blame himself for Lexi's epilepsy, Curtis came clean and admitted that he was responsible. Freddie went to find Grace, and when he explained the situation to Mercedes, she accidentally revealed that they both already knew about Lexi's accident. He raged at Grace for her lies and was also mad at Mercedes. Grace explained the situation and tried to make amends, but Freddie told her their relationship was over. Hollyoaks to revisit Robbie and Nancy's past in new scenes. Elsewhere, Robbie and Vicky's relationship was also on the rocks, and Vicky explained that she wanted to hurt him like he hurt her by carrying out Donnie's fake robbery. She begged for another chance, and Robbie conceded that if Vicky was still around when he returned from his work trip the next day, he would know she is serious. Later, Freddie called round to see Robbie, but Vicky told him he was in London. He explained that his marriage to Grace was over and opened up about how he had let Lexi down. Hollyoaks teases dangerous drinking story for Roe Hutchinson. The pair shared a bottle of wine, and Freddie spoke about how much his daughter meant to him. As Vicky urged Freddie to give Grace another chance, their conversation turned flirty. Vicky and Freddie kissed, then immediately ran off to the bedroom together. Is this the start of a new sordid affair? In the quiet of the dog in the pond, tension crackled in the air as Hollyoaks' newest shock twist unfolded. Freddie Roscoe and Grace Black had weathered their fair share of storms, each time piecing their fractured lives back together. But this time felt different. The breakup had been brutal, leaving behind a trail of raw emotions and unspoken truths. And now, only days after their split, an unexpected twist was about to disrupt the lives of everyone around them. Scene 1. Picking up the pieces. Freddie sat alone at the bar, nursing his drink as he tried to process the wreckage of his latest heartbreak. Grace had been fierce, magnetic, a force he couldn't resist but also couldn't fully understand. Their relationship had been a whirlwind of passion, betrayal, and redemption, but even he had to admit it had come to an inevitable, painful end. As he stared into his glass, Freddie heard footsteps approaching. Glancing up, he saw Mercedes McQueen slide into the seat next to him, a curious glint in her eye. She was always the first to know when there was trouble in the village, and tonight was no exception. "Rumor has it you and Grace called it quits," Mercedes remarked, tilting her head in mock sympathy. "Didn't think you'd be here drowning your sorrows like some heartbroken teenager." Freddie managed a weak grin. "You heard right. But I'm not here to talk about it, if that's what you're after." "Oh, come on, Freddie," she replied, a smirk playing on her lips. "A man like you. Alone on a Friday night? Seems like you could use a little company." Despite himself, Freddie laughed, shaking his head. There was something oddly comforting about Mercedes' straightforward approach. She didn't mince words, and maybe, just maybe, that was what he needed right now. Scene 2. A surprise reunion. Meanwhile, across town, Grace was trying her best to move on, even if it meant throwing herself into every distraction she could find. The familiar hum of the loft filled the background, but she felt disconnected from it all. With a deep breath, she leaned back in her booth, trying to focus on the clinking glasses and pulsing music, anything to drown out the echo of her failed relationship. Just then, Liam Donovan sauntered over, sliding into the booth beside her without an invitation. He was as brazen as ever, his gaze sharp and appraising. "Didn't think I'd see you sitting here alone," he drawled, a teasing smile tugging at his lips. Grace glared at him, unamused. What do you want, Liam? Haven't you got someone else phased? Tonight? He leaned in, his voice dropping. I wanted to see how you were doing. Word travels fast in this village, you know. Besides, you don't look like you're in the mood to celebrate. Grace raised an eyebrow, her lips pressed into a thin line. Freddie and I are over. That's all there is to it. Is it? Liam asked, his voice smooth. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're still hoping he'll walk through that door any second. The comment hit close to home, but Grace didn't let it show. Instead, she forced a smile, refusing to give Liam the satisfaction of knowing he'd struck a nerve. Maybe you should get back to minding your own business, she said coolly. But as he reached out, his hand brushing hers, something shifted. It was subtle, electric, a spark that neither of them had anticipated. Scene 3, The Unexpected Kiss. Back at the dog in the pond, Freddie was growing restless. Talking with Mercedes had been a good distraction, but it wasn't enough to numb the ache that had settled in his chest. He stood to leave, only to find himself nearly colliding with Grace, who had slipped through the door just moments earlier. Grace, he said, his voice betraying a mix of surprise and longing. She crossed her arms, her eyes unreadable. I didn't come here to see you, if that's what you think, she replied, the words sharper than she'd intended. Freddie took a step back, nodding. Right, then I'll let you be. But neither of them moved. Instead, a heavy silence stretched between them, filled with all the things they hadn't said. There was anger, regret, and something else, something they tried to ignore but couldn't deny. Freddie. Grace started, but the words caught in her throat. Without warning, Freddie closed the gap between them, his lips meeting hers in a moment of raw, unguarded passion. The kiss was intense, fueled by the chaos of their emotions and the weight of everything they'd been through. For a few seconds, it felt like the world around them had vanished, leaving just the two of them in a whirlwind of unresolved feelings. But just as quickly as it began, the moment shattered. Grace pulled away, her eyes wide with shock. She hadn't meant for this to happen, and the realization left her reeling. What are we doing? She whispered, barely able to meet his gaze. Freddie, still caught in the intensity of the kiss, looked at her with a mixture of confusion and determination. I don't know, Grace, but I can't pretend that this, whatever it is between us, just goes away. Scene 4, Caught in the Act. Just as they stood there, trying to process what had happened, the door to the dog in the pond opened again. Mercedes had witnessed the entire scene from across the room, and now she was striding over with a triumphant smirk. Well, Mercedes said, her tone dripping with amusement. Didn't take you too long to find your way back to each other, did it? Freddie and Grace exchanged a look, both of them still shaken from the kiss. Neither knew what to say, and Mercedes, sensing their discomfort, simply laughed. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me, for now, she added with a wink, leaving them to grapple with the consequences of their actions. Scene 5, Facing the Truth. As the night wore on, Freddie and Grace sat side by side, their initial shock giving way to a difficult conversation. They talked about everything they'd buried, from the hurt to the passion, and finally confronted the truth they'd been avoiding. I don't know if we can ever make this work, Grace admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe not, Freddie replied, his tone resolute. But I'm willing to try if you are. With that, they shared a final, lingering look, both uncertain yet unwilling to let go entirely. In the unpredictable world of Hollyoaks, where love and betrayal often walked hand in hand, perhaps this kiss would lead them to a new beginning, or another heartbreak waiting in the shadows. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.